and welcome to Talking Trades. This is a special interview segment where we have the creators of the wonderful book, The Hardways, Russell Lissau and Shawn Richison. And we're so stoked to have you guys here on the podcast. How are you doing, gentlemen?
We're doing great.
Stoked to be here. So
thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me at all. That's not many people do.
We're gonna make this a regular thing, Shawn. We gotta catch you up with Russell's interviews.
We'll do it.
Let's just jump right into who the heck you guys are. Now, Russell, you've been on the podcast before, and we've covered Old Wounds on the podcast. That was forever ago. It feels like
a bit ago, yeah.
Yeah. You've done Old Wounds, which we absolutely love on this podcast. You've done some Batman stuff. You've done that really great issue of Strawberry Shortcake with your daughter that I still have in my house signed by you. I love that issue. One of the better pulp detective writers still writing today, Russell. What's new? Like, what's going on? Like, what made you want to write this story? Like, what's new in your life as far as inspiration for this book?
You know, The Hardways is, I'll tell you a bit about the book. The Hardways is the story of a kidnapping in Las Vegas that goes wrong, terribly wrong, for everybody involved. That's the elevator pitch. And it started, as so many of my stories do, with an observation that led to a story idea. I was in Caesar's Palace a few years ago and walking through the casino in the lobby, and they've got these fantastic fountains and statues throughout Caesar's Palace, very, very Roman. And one of them was just really eye-catching. I was looking at it, and I flashed on a gunfight happening at this fountain. And that was the climactic gunfight. It's in my head. It was a climactic gunfight for some sort of comic book story. And I could see the whole thing. It was very cinematic. And like so many of my good ideas, it just rattled around in my head for a while. And I started taking notes and thinking about, well, why is there a gun battle here? What led to that happening? And I thought, well, there's a kidnapping. Someone's been kidnapped. Well, who got kidnapped? Well, a whale at the casino got kidnapped. And then all the details started coming. And from a page in a notebook, the initial notes were just written in a notebook, to page after page on a legal pad, The Hardways unfolded. And when I landed on the name, that's when I knew I had something.
That's when you knew? Not the amazing story you wrote in your head in the middle of Caesar's Palace? That was when you knew?
I knew it was real. And I could see The Hardways on the front of a comic book, which is, to me, a great phrase for the title of the story, because not only is it a craps term, it's a bet you can make in craps, if you didn't know that.
I did not.
But everybody in this story is doing things the hard way. Nobody does anything easy in this story.
Wow.
So it's that great kind of double entendre title that it very much like Old Wounds was, that's literal and figurative. And it became very, very real. And I plotted out the story. I figured out, who the characters were. And then it was time to figure out who I wanted to draw it. And that led me to Shawn.
I mean, I was expecting an eloquent answer, because I know you, Russell, but I wasn't expecting that eloquent of an answer. That was very interesting. I want you to write another book that's the behind the scenes on that, because I would like that as its own thing. But that's a great transition to Shawn. Shawn, so obviously you were tapped to draw this book. The drawings are fantastic. We've read issue 1, loved issue 1. The drawings are fantastic.
Thank you.
What other, when Russell reached out to you, how did that conversation go?
Well, Russell and I have known each other for a number of years, right? And we worked together on several projects, more kind of short story stuff. We frequented a sequential art message board together, and we've known each other from around and that sort of thing. And then so when the opportunity arose that he needed a fill-in artist on a previous gig, he approached me because I'd been posting up my art on there, and I said, yeah, absolutely. I've been actually kind of waiting for an opportunity. I think there have been a couple of sort of missed connections over the years before that, where, you know, just the timing wasn't right or whatever. But then we got together and we really enjoyed working with each other. I really liked his writing. He wrote a lot of stuff in the vein that I like to draw. So, you know, this first one was kind of a sci-fi love story. And then we did another kind of science fiction one. Then we did something that was like a little bit more heartfelt, a little bit more like a slice of life about an aging rock star and a lost love and some regrets, this kind of thing, which was, you know, you don't get the opportunity often in comics, all that often, to really get into some of these different genres. You know, sci-fi is maybe a little bit more popular now, but, you know, there was a time where, you know, you wouldn't see this kind of thing being put out there. And he wrote all of this stuff really authentically, and I really loved the characters that we were working with, and he had a really good grasp of like how he wanted what's laid out, and, you know, where he wanted the panels, you know, kind of put. And so we would work based on his you know, pretty complete scripts. Like he doesn't just throw you like, I don't know, here, draw something. Like, you know, he's got ideas of what is in his head, which makes it easier for me. Like I always say, like, if somebody could just give me like a fumetti, like, you know, the Italian photo comic, and then I just redraw that would be the easiest gig I would ever see. So barring that, he gives me a good amount of detail, lots of description. The other thing, though, that is great about our relationship working together is that he's very open when I just decide I'm going to fly in, you know, you said zig and I'm going to zag. I hope you're okay with that. I hope you like it. And he's almost never come back with more than just you know, some cosmetic changes. Oh, you know, maybe not this or whatever. Maybe do it this way. But in general, we have a very easy working relationship that way, where, you know, I get a lot from him, and then whatever I give back, he generally is pretty open to, and with very limited changes. So when the Hardways came along, and he was looking for someone, I think he had mentioned that he was looking for someone to do the script, and I read the premise. It was in a post on a message board, social media or whatever. And I kind of private message and tweeted it at him and said, hey, you know what, if you're looking for someone, like I'd be interested in that, because crime is where I cut my teeth in comics. So it was, my first gig was actually a Vegas crime caper. And so I've always been looking, you know, when you do your first thing, it's never going to be like where you eventually end up. And so when I had that opportunity to kind of revisit that genre and revisit that locale, but now with, you know, 20 years of experience drawing comics under my belt, I was more than excited to get an opportunity to do that. And so, you know, he said, yeah, if you're in, I'm interested in having you on board. So we sat down, we started brainstorming, and I think kind of one of the first things that grabbed me was that title, was the Hardways. I just thought, God, this sings, man. It's like, you know, to me, some of the best titles when you got like say Star Wars, right? It's simple. It's to the point. It's a war amongst the stars. It's, you know, Jaws. It's about a big fish with big teeth. It's Jaws, you know, and I feel like these are the kinds of titles that will get people's eyes on a thing. And the Hardways is evocative. Like you said, it's got this double entendre. When you read the script, when you read the first issue, you start immediately to identify that these people are all generally out of their depth. I mean, there are obviously some professionals there, but they are also end up in, let's say, a difficult situation without giving away too much. And so reading the scripts, reading the title, immediately got this picture in my head of like what it looked like. And so I was sending him kind of some sketches of what I thought like the title design should be, because like that was sort of grabbed me. It was like before we even drew any of the pages. And maybe I was doing a bit of thumbnailing at the same time. and I sent them that, and Russell came. He said, "Yes, oh, this is sort of exactly right for this story," and so we knew we were off to the races with something there. So
I remember when I sent you the script, and you got back to me within like 2 days, and it's a 100-page script. It's 5 20-page issues, and you got back to me in like 2 or 3 days, and not only didn't, I mean, you said you liked it. You said you really liked it, and I remember that, but it wasn't just a little kissing, because there were things that you were specifically saying, I love this, I love that, I love the way this happens to this character. There were things that you were referencing that I knew the story really clicked for you.
Yeah, man, it resonated. Like as soon as I read that script, man, I was like, oh, I know what this guy looks like. I know who that character is. I remember I started doing character sketches for you and sending them to you.
Yeah.
And we really didn't deviate too far off of those. I think there was like, I gave one character glasses and you're like, I didn't put glasses in there. And then you'd have to remember to get rid of the glasses. And I was like, you know what? That's great. Let's scratch the glasses.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, that'll be a pain in the butt to draw. I'd forget. And then I put them back on and, you know, yeah, no, that's right. So it was that kind of thing, but it was like, I could see them in my head. I could see who was involved in this action. And yeah, there were like set pieces where I was like, oh my God, when that happens, okay, so I already know how I'm going to draw that. And, you know, and you were like, oh, okay, well, I guess he's in, you know? So yeah, no, it was all there, man. Right. As soon as I read it,
you guys mind melded early.
Oh,
things were clicking for both of us. And this is the 4th project that Shawn and I have worked on together. And clearly the largest. I mean, it's the longest piece that we've done together. I think the previous was Summer, was 16 pages.
Yeah,
it was the longest thing that we had worked on together. But we built a language with each other. We built a working relationship and an understanding. And those previous projects made this one possible, I think, because we knew, at least from my perspective anyway, I knew what you wanted out of a story. You knew what I was going to do with the script, and we hit the ground running. Even though I didn't write that script specifically for you, I knew it fit your talents and was the kind of story that you would want to draw.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like I said, like we've done sci-fi, we've done romance, we've done, you know, slice of life, and, you know, probably someday I'm sure we'll venture into other territories as well. But crime is a big one. It's a favorite of both ours. Like obviously, if you've read old Wounds and that kind of thing, you know that Russell's got those chops to tell these pulp kind of noir sort of stories. And I've been a huge fan of doing that kind of thing for a long, long time. And you know, honestly, you don't get a lot of those opportunities if you don't make them for yourself. Necessarily as an artist, you know, you might luck into something. And I do feel like I was pretty lucky that this was the direction that Russell was going in terms of what his next project was, and that he was interested in having me aboard. But I think also we do have that bit of a kindred spirit when it comes to comics and what we want out of comics. And we're both huge fans of superhero comics. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, he's written Batman, and pretty much if you ask me, hey, just draw me a superhero, I'm going to go to Batman. He's my go-to character. I love the Bat. But, and of course, you know, anything you say before you say but is
right.
But at this point in my career, I'm not going to say I wouldn't say yes if the Marvel DC came knocking, but I feel like I want to get all my stories out on the table. I want to explore the worlds that I'm uniquely able to explore, and the crime is a huge one of those. So
I mean, I've heard that from other like artists and, you know, actors, whoever, and, you know, they always say it like kind of like you just said it, where it's like, you know, I'm not besmirching this thing. It's like, no. You can say that you have things that you like. What's wrong with liking something? I don't get that. I mean, I think you can like whatever you want to like. And I feel like, hey, I want to do XYZ. So you don't have to do Batman in a comic book. You don't have to do Superman. Like, do whatever you want. Do what makes you happy. And I think that what makes you happy is what's going to turn out some great work.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, again, there are guys who are far more able to tell superhero stories than I am. Like, I look at Trinity and I just think, like, that guy should be drawing Batman forever and ever and ever. Like, he is amazing. He's just got such a, grasp of that character. And I was just reading yesterday, Nick Darrington, I think, is doing a couple of Batman set in the future, right?
The future state, yeah.
Yeah, the future state ones. And I'm all in on those, right? Mitch Gerard's, like, I am all in on whatever superhero comes out of his Cintiq, because, God, Mr. Miracle was amazing. What they're doing with Adam Strange is amazing. And I mean, no shade on any of the writers. The writers are obviously a huge part of that package of making that all work. But as an artist, looking at that, and then looking at my own stuff, and I think, you know what? A long time ago, somebody said to me, you seem like an indie guy. You seem like you should be doing, and in a sense that can be, and at the time when I was younger, I kind of took it as a little bit of an affront, right? It's like, oh, what do you mean I should be doing indie? Don't think I can do the other stuff. But I think what was meant by that, and the way I've decided to approach my own work, is that there's such a myriad of worlds out there that you could tell stories about. And my style is not necessarily a superhero style. My style is more realistic in that, like, gritty sort of sense. Like, not that I draw photorealistically, but I definitely have that, like, nobody's really pretty in my world, right? They're the square jawed guys, and there are a couple of hot dames in this story, of course, you got to have them, but I love drawing schlubs, man. I don't know what it is. I love to just put those road miles on my characters and just make them look like they've lived some terrible, probably not healthy lifestyle. I don't know why.
Characters are very human.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And that even in the science fiction work that we did, your characters were very human. They're palpably human. You can see the lines on their faces. You can see that, not everybody looks like Christopher Reeve. You have drawn characters who have lived hard and what's the old expression?
Rode hard
and put away wet. Right?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And that's an important skill. Not everybody can look like Tim Sale or why am I blanking on the artist of All-Star Superman right now?
Oh my God.
Oh, Frank Whiteley.
Yeah, Frank Whiteley. Thank you. Where everybody is heroic,
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a book full of schlubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I mean that's why I think, like, also that this script and this story and this genre just sings for me, because, like, yeah, like Russell said, it goes wrong for everybody, and there's a reason for that, because if they were all heroic, square-jawed, lantern-jawed, as they say, do-gooders, there'd be heroes there, but we've got no heroes in this, right? This is the whole point of this story, is that there are no heroes in this. There are characters that have varying degrees of likability, and we hope that we're rooting for some of them, or maybe for others. Depends on your point of view. But they're all really compelling. So that's what I loved about it. So,
one thing I loved about the art with this book specifically was, yes, there are schlubs. You said you like to draw schlubs, but the characters also looked strikingly different from each other. It wasn't just like the same face that you often see in bigger books. And it just, I love the juxtaposition, because when people think of Vegas, they think of like the glitz and glamour and everything's great and you're winning and all the bright lights and all the money. But in this book, it's not that. It's the other side of Vegas. It's kind of the seedy part, the more traditional traditional like the pedestrian, what you'd actually experience if you were to go to Vegas. I really liked the art style with the tone. I felt it fit very, very well.
Well, and that's what Russell had brought up earlier when we were talking about the genesis of this book, is that, yeah, some of Vegas is beautiful architecture, and like that was of course something that inspired the locale for the shootout, but also, there's the other side of Vegas. So I don't know, maybe Russell can speak to that more when he talks about the.
It's all make believe, isn't it? Las Vegas, as much as I love the city, it's all make believe. It's all a movie set, and there is this. If you spend enough time on the Vegas Strip, if you spend enough time really looking at people in Las Vegas, and I love people watching in Vegas. It's a great city to do that. There's just this film over everything and over everybody. There's this veneer, and you can see the change, the difference between winners and losers, and you can see how somebody who's lost their rent money has got their shoulders hunched forward, and their eyes are down, and their skin is just a little paler than that rich model over there, in the mini skirt. They're not quite the same. They're not even quite on the same wavelength. And you were talking about this with me once recently, Shawn, where you spend time on the Strip and it's all just wonderful. And you go 2 blocks to the east, and it's one of the roughest neighborhoods I've ever seen.
Yep.
And back 2 blocks to the west are billion-dollar properties and billions of dollars being won and lost and spent every day. And it's all just a veneer. It's all this mirage in the desert,
Yeah, it is. It really is. That's a very apt description.
What? Arguably, I think that goes all the way up the strata, to the top. So many of these, they talk about old money and new money in the continental European stories or whatever, or even in the US, like there's a degree of old money. And I think Vegas is like so much new money.
Yeah.
I mean, only within the last half century. So you get these people who are sort of pretty roughshod, right? Like they're pretty, and they've built this veneer. Even if they have that kind of money, they've built this, like they bought the suits and they bought and this is kind of who the lead character is. He's a guy who's done well in whatever has gotten him to this point in life. And he also likes to gamble, and he also likes the ladies. But he's bought himself into whatever situation he's in. He's bought the car, he's bought the clothes, but he probably can't drive it well. He doesn't take care of his clothes very well. They're all kind of wrinkly and not well, ironed or whatever. And so even though he's got sort of the nice clothes and he's well known, he's the whale, he's the guy that they know is gonna come to the casino and spend some money, and maybe he'll take home a big score this time, but next time he'll leave it all on the table, and they love him for that, right? They love that he's got money and he's going to come and spend it, but he's not genteel. Yeah, he is, but he's not genteel, right? He doesn't have the background. He doesn't come from the upper crust. He's definitely got flaws. Right. So, yeah.
There was that line in the special edition of the book, which you can only get from the creators, either Shawn or me, or the letterer Josh Southall, or the colorist Juan Romera. There's a 38-page special edition that's got a lot of extras, and Shawn's got a terrific essay and descriptions of each of the characters, and you've got this great description for Maury, which is, and I think I'm paraphrasing a little bit, he's got an Armani suit, but he doesn't know how to iron it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where I came from for this guy.
It's perfect.
And that's exactly right. He's got a beautiful suit that he didn't buy off the rack, but he doesn't know how to take care of it. The suit doesn't fit him, and he doesn't fit the suit.
Yeah. And that's, I think, applies to kind of all the characters. They all have some sort of facade, you know, if they're playing a tough guy, if they're playing the honeypot, right, as we say, like, which are not to give away too much, but, you know, you guys read the book, so you kind of know the twist there a little bit. And, you know, there's nothing real about probably any of these characters. And, I mean, they present, I think, like all people.
Well, from a literal standpoint too, when she pulls her wig off, like,
like, yeah, and so, you know, this is the idea, is that, like, I mean, I think that's true to a degree of everybody. You present a certain way that you want the world to see you, but for them, it really is playing a role. Whatever their real intent is, they are definitely deflecting that to try to fulfill their agenda, and to a very strong degree. Like, that is, and we'll see how all of those agendas kind of come into conflict, which is the real fun of the book, which is starting to roll in the second chapter.
Ooh.
Which I have finished the artwork for, and we're just waiting for the colorist and the letter to do their part. And as soon as that's done, second chapter is going to be released. So
sweet. Speaking of release, it's a digital only book, right? Unless you get it from special edition.
Rather than digital only, we want to say digital first.
Digital first. I like that better. Right. I think that's nice. First.
But please continue. I apologize for interrupting.
No, that's good. Digital first, Comixology. Yes, we can get it on Comixology, which is the best you can get. Then you can have across all your devices. How many issues are planned as of right now? Or is that something we got to wait to find out?
It's a 5-issue miniseries.
5-issue miniseries, great.
Yeah,
so it's 5 issues on Comixology for sure. And then eventually, hopefully, physical.
Right. It was designed as either a 5-issue miniseries or a 5-chapter graphic novel. I knew it was a done-in-one story. I knew it wasn't an ongoing. And it was always envisioned to be 4 or 5 issues when I was even doing the original drafts. And I settled on 5, 100 pages plus maybe 20 or 30 pages of back matter, you know, when all is said and done. And then, you know, Shawn got to work, and then the pandemic hit. And for the last decade or so, I've been self-publishing nearly all of my work and loving it, absolutely loving it. Doing small runs of comics. I think all the books Shawn and I had worked on had been self-published. It was a successful financial model, going out to a dozen shows a year and selling those books. But if there are no conventions because of COVID, we've got no place to sell the book.
Right.
And why even print 200 or 300 or 500 of them if you've got no place to sell it?
Right.
And
especially when that's taking up like factory people, like who could be making masks or ventilators or stuff like that, right? Like especially like during the time, like it would cost you money and it'd be hard to move.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting now on 4 cases of books. That's just my regular con inventory that normally in 1 year I would have burned through, but they're sitting in, now that I think about it, two rooms in my apartment because there hasn't been a convention since February.
Right.
And so we decided to go digital first, and we're going at it, I think, with what I hope is a unique and successful model, which is the traditional 20-page full-color comic through Comixology, but also, as I said, a 38-page edition that you can buy directly from us at our online stores that has extra content. It's got the full script. It's got character designs. It's got an essay by Shawn. It's got an essay by me. And each issue will be available, this is the plan anyway, will be available in those 2 formats. At the same time, we're pitching it to publishers. And we've got some interest from a couple different publishers.
That's great.
At least that they wanted to see issue 1. And instead of just sending a 5-page sample, well, we're going to send the entire first issue. And that shows a commitment to the project, that we believe in this so much that not only did we do 5 pages, we did a 20-page first issue. We put the cover on it. We put it out there. We're self-publishing it and releasing it through Comixology. And with any luck, a publisher is going to pick up the book and we'll be able to get the hard copy out that way. If not, and I'm really confident that we're going to be able to find a house for it. But if not, when the time comes, we'll self-publish it. We'll put it out as a collection. We'll serialize it as traditional comics, maybe serialize it online. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go with a project like this.
And we could also even, sorry to interject there, we could probably, and I know we haven't really talked about it a whole bunch, but do it in a couple of different formats that way too, like maybe a black and white artist edition, so you can just see the black and white art, which is sort of
Hardways noir
previous work.
Sure.
Where exactly, yeah. And I think because it would work really well like that. But as Russell had mentioned, when we went digital, one of the tough decisions that we made was, do we go digital in black and white? Because people are viewing this on a 16 million color screen, or however many colors are available now on these ultra high definition tablets and whatnot. We got to give them a little something just to stand out with everyone else, right? Just to be neck and neck with the rest of anyone who's publishing. Because to my mind, if you want something digital, you want some colors, and that's why we brought in Juan Romera, who I'd worked with a few times before, and he's been just a boon to this project, getting that color done for us and making it.
It's great color too.
Yeah, I love it. But that might be we could offer a color option in print eventually, especially if we go through a publisher, and if we self-publish, we might do, one or two, like where we do a run of black and white, just to see how people like that, because there are black and white fans out there. But I think
absolutely,
they're the I want to hold it in my hand, tactile experience people, right? So, you kind of want to cater to all of those markets, and Russell has been very good at that with all of his previous releases. I think this just gives us another opportunity to do even more of that. So I'm very excited about it.
Well, we're excited as well for you. And the book, the first issue is great. Can't wait to read more of it. But very excited for this. You guys are fantastic. Shawn, really excited to see more of your work. I've already got a list on my Amazon to check out more of your stuff.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Really excited to see what the future has in store for another awesome addition to the pulp detective awesome genre that you guys are a part of. Where can people find you online? Plug some stuff real quick.
Sure. Shawn and I both have online stores. First thing I should say is that the whole creative team is on Twitter. All four of us are very active on Twitter. I'm at RLISSAU, my first initial and my last name. I've got a Facebook page where I talk comics a lot, and my online store is russell-lissau.square.site. That's the online store where you can get the Hardways special edition, where you can get one of the last, I think, 15 remaining copies of Old Wounds. The book is now out of print, and I've got the last 15 copies.
And we've got signed ones.
Yeah, get a signed copy, get a sketched in copy. And I've got the other books that I did with Shawn there as well. As I said, you can find me on Facebook. And Shawn, why don't you take it away? Where can folks find
Sure,
me?
yeah. Like Russell said, we're all on Twitter. So I'm at Shawn Richison, just my name, no spaces, obviously. And feel free to follow me for art snippets, terrible dad jokes, and as we mentioned before when we were talking before we started recording, probably some commie leftist political garbage, but you
depending
can
on when
ignore
they
that.
follow
That's
it,
fine.
you may be suspended for yelling at Shawn at Ben Shapiro.
Listen, I mean, I didn't even know that was going to happen. That's almost embarrassing. I was just like,
I think it's great.
It's Ben Shapiro. I'm going to yell at him. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you can't tweet for a while. I was like, all right, I'm going to go to bed now.
Enjoy your vacation.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It was 12 hours. I slept through it. Anyway, I'm on there doing my thing. You can, my DMs are always open. So I actually have original art from the first issue. So anyone who wants to hit me up for that stuff, I have a few pages left of that at probably pretty good Christmas prices right now. You can find me on, I do have a Facebook account. It's mostly friends and family, but I think it's Big Daddy Richison. I can't remember. My portfolio site is wonderrealm.com. So that's wonder, EALM.com. And so my store follows the same format as Russell's, which is wonderrealm-shop.square.site. So the same spelling as my website. And then
awesome.
shop.square.site. And again, you can pick up that special edition of the book, digital special edition, 38-page with all the extras from Russell's site, from my site, from, I think, joshsouthall.com. I think that's it. I'm not sure if Juan Romera's got a store or not. I think he might. I feel bad because I didn't come prepared for that. But if you follow,
I'll be sure to look up, and I'm going to link all these in our description as well.
Yeah. So we're all out there. Ask us anything. Feel free to follow us and buy some original art, man. It's a good Christmas present.
We did not get to half of the stuff that I would have liked to have gotten to. So if you're up to it, we'd love to have you guys back on. This was awesome. But whenever the schedules line up again, this was really, I mean, I knew you would only surround yourself with good people. So I knew Shawn was going to be great, but this was really fun. And I hope you guys had fun too. But thank you so much for coming on.
I love these things. So yeah, anytime you give me a call.
Thanks for having us, man.
Awesome. Well, make sure to check out the book. And like I said, I'll link to everything in our description. But thank you very much for these two gentlemen for coming on. Check out all their amazing work. And be sure to check back on Talkin' Trades when we cover the entire collection of books once it's all done.
Hardways.
That's it.
You can follow us on Twitter at Talkin' Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.